ahead and press record. And then just before I begin, for those of you who just joined the call, if you could make sure to mute your phone, as well as if your name isn't appearing in the attendees box, feel free to just type it in the chat. I just like to keep track of who actually was able to attend today's call. All right, and then we will begin. I apologize for my voice. I'm either coming down with a summer cold or allergies, but it's not always the best timing with a webinar. But we'll go ahead and get started. All right. If you have any questions or comments during today's webinar, feel free to always type it in the chat box. I actually have it open, so I'll make sure to address any of your questions or comments during the webinar, or definitely follow up with you afterwards if necessary. And there's also time this morning that I've built in for some questions and discussions where you'll unmute yourselves and we can have a conversation. So the goals of our time together this morning will include briefly just examining a little bit of the research behind clinically oriented teacher preparation. We'll also look at NCTR's programming and services, as well as the benefits and commitments of working with NCTR. And then lastly, I'm going to review some items to complete prior to Institute 1. As you're all aware, Institute 1 will occur October 11th through the 13th at CSU Stanislaus, and I'd like to thank them for offering to host our first Institute. And let's see. So our agenda for this morning includes identifying who's in the cohort, acknowledging the challenges we're facing in clinical teacher preparation and how we plan to address it through this initiative. Then we'll move into an overview of NCTR, and I'll provide you with some more information on our programming and services. Next, I'll outline some work for you to do prior to Institute 1, and then we'll close with a Q&A to address any lasting concerns or questions. So let's begin by identifying who's in the cohort. I'm pleased to announce that there will be 4 partnerships in our cohort this year. So Sacramento with Sacramento City should be on the call, Stanislaus with Turlock and Ceres. Fresno is working with Sanger, and then Bakersfield with Bakersfield City. So I'm really excited that we are able to have a smaller cohort. And again, we'll also be able to share all of our learnings with the larger 11 cohorts, or 11 CSUs at a later date. So let's start to review with the challenges. As we're all aware, there are perennial challenges in both urban and rural districts that negatively impact student achievement. While I know these challenges aren't new to this group, I did want to take a moment to orient ourselves to this context. Of course, the challenge of inequitable distribution of high-quality teachers for high-need schools and placement areas is all too well known for this group, and it's the reason why we're actually participating in this initiative. We know that about 40 to 50% of teachers leave during the first 5 years in schools serving students of color and students in poverty. We also know that teachers leave the profession and often the district for a plethora of reasons, including feeling underprepared to meet the complex needs of students, feeling a lack of opportunity for growth, thinking that their work isn't sustainable, or simply feeling the lack of support. So right now, I'd like to pause here for a moment and give everyone a chance to think about your specific context. Are there additional challenges that you faced that I didn't address? Because I'd want to make sure I was aware of them prior to Institute 1. So you're free to unmute yourselves and share if there's something else you'd also like me to focus on.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can.
Oh, great. Um, this is Lisa Bennett at Fresno State, and we're experiencing a very large number of STIPs, TIPs, and interns who are actually being hired out of our student teaching classes during the time that they're doing their field work. So
Okay.
our members are just jumping all over the place in terms of how we work with them and where they're placed and how we supervise them. And the districts have to fill those spaces. They have empty classrooms and the school year started. So that's a very great concern of ours.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I am writing that one down because I'll make sure to address that as part of Institute 1. Are there additional concerns as well? Okay, then I'll move on. And if you think of any, just feel free to type it in the chat box. But it's really helpful. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing, because I can definitely build that into our institute. So I'm specifically addressing any needs that you have. All right. So during the next 2 slides, we're going to briefly review research conducted by NCTR in the field writ large, identifying how clinical teacher preparation is responding to some of the challenges that I mentioned. As you're already aware, when institutions of higher education and school districts like yourselves work together to customize teacher preparation and address the shortage of quality teachers for high-need schools, they're able to support specific recruitment targets for districts by creating a rigorous selection criteria. As many of you know, by providing targeted preparation, which includes curriculum alignment, field experiences, extensive clinical teacher practice, teacher candidates are more aware of the specific needs of the community, and they can also be more equipped to address those challenges. So again, I'm going to pause here for a moment, and you can feel free to unmute yourself. And I really just want you to think about what aspects of your partnership do you anticipate contributing to the clinical teacher preparation field at large? And I'll just wait a couple more.
Well, I can say something. This is Lisa Bennett again.
Okay.
So we actually are working with 3 districts, Sanger, Central, and Fresno Unified. And we're building on the things that we learned in our previous relationship with Fresno Unified through a different grant. And so we're already seeing.
Uh-oh.
Hear me?
I don't think it's you. I think we're getting some feedback from someone else.
Well, we already are seeing
Okay.
contributions in terms of our Fresno partnership informing practices that we're now.
You know what, Lisa? I can't hear you, but if you type it in the chat box, I'm going to mute everyone. Can you hear me? If someone can hear me, just type it in the chat. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone because I think we are just getting some feedback. But Lisa, I didn't want to cut you off. So if you could type what you're actually doing and some of the lessons you learned in the chat, then I can make sure to address those. And I'll continue, but I'll follow up with what you said. And then I'll just unmute the lines when we get further on so that you can share again. Okay. So I just want to provide everyone with a brief overview of NCTR. I know some of you I had a chance to speak to on the phone earlier this summer, and some of you I haven't had a chance to necessarily have a conversation with other than on webinars. So NCTR has what we call a 4-pronged strategy that really consists of 4 business lines. The first business line is strategic consulting, and that's actually the area that houses this design series that you're participating in. Our second line consists of continuing to support our residencies as well as clinical teacher preparation partners. And then our third line, practice to policy, addresses the policies that need to be passed in order to support clinical teacher preparation. The fourth business line, which is research, development, and evaluation, runs across all of the other three and supports and impacts them. NCTR's theory of action consists of 4 aspects. The first aspect supports new and emerging residencies and clinical preparation models. The second aspect works to continuously improve quality and scaling graduating programs of new and existing teacher residencies and clinical teacher prep. The third aspect analyzes barriers that residencies and clinical teacher prep faces in order to recommend policy. And then our last and fourth aspect works closely to collect data that demonstrates proof point. So, as you can see, NCTR's network works with higher education and school district partnerships from across the country. And I just wanted to show you a couple of them so you could see that we'll actually take some of our lessons learned from some of our areas such as Seattle, Richmond, Memphis, and I'll share them during our institutes. So let's review the NGEI design series. And Lisa, I see that you wrote a comment, so I'm going to wait a little bit, but I'm actually going to wrap that in just a moment. Over the next year, NCTR's design series team will be working with all of you to achieve 2 goals. The first is to support universities and their partners in the development of emerging or existing teacher residency or clinically rich teacher education programs. And then our second goal is to inform the field of teacher preparation at large. At the center of our work with you is program effectiveness. So the curriculum of our design series, the strategic consulting, and our assessment and evaluation of your program are for the purpose of improving your program effectiveness. I know many of you have already taken a look at the scope and sequence, but I'd like to review what our work with you will entail. Your partnership team will participate in 3 institutes with us, 2 this fall and 1 during the spring. And then additionally, program leads will participate in strategic consulting calls. And at NCTR, we have a number of tools we will use to help support you as your program assesses and evaluates its progress. On this slide, I just wanted to dive into our institutes a little bit more. I know there's been several questions about the location. So Institute 1, both Part A and B, will take place at CSU Stanislaus, and Part A will occur October 11th and 12th. Part B will occur October 13th. What we're saying is a maximum of 6 people per CSU district partnership can attend the institutes unless discussed with NCTR and the foundation if you were asked for more. I will send out RSVPs next week after Labor Day, so be on the lookout for them. They should come out on September 7th. Institute 2, which is our clinical preparation curriculum and program visit, will occur November 1st through 3rd, and we are going to Seattle. So the Seattle Teacher Residency is going to host us, and they're going to share their lessons learned, things that are going extremely well, and aspects that they're still working on. I think we really will learn a lot from them. I'm very excited about that visit. And then our 3rd institute, which is the program development and our presentations of learning, there's a change from the original scope and sequence I sent out. It will occur on April 3rd, which is the day before all 11 CSUs will meet for your annual convening. And that's going to take place at CSU Bakersfield. So again, I'd like to thank Bakersfield and Stanislaus for hosting 2 of our institutes. For our strategic consulting, what we're offering is one virtual consulting call with myself or one of our program managers every other week to address individual design needs. Now, again, that's as needed. So if there's times when you really don't need any support and you don't have any questions, we wouldn't have a call. And then there are some times where maybe you would need more than one call. So we can be as flexible as you need us to be and schedule those calls on an ongoing basis. And then our assessment and evaluation, I just wanted to highlight a couple of aspects that we'll actually provide and support you with. So we have a partnership health survey that you'll actually review during Institute 1, but we also have created a program performance tracker. And throughout our relationship with you, we'll track your progress by collecting data that aligns with the Design Series Institute and the NGEI report that's due to the foundation. In addition, we've also aligned the data to the California Credentialing Program Standards and the TPEs. So this way, it's one area that's going to house all of your information that you can use for a lot of different reports. And this is just one segment of the program performance tracker that you can see. But I thought it would be helpful to show you what it looks like. In entering this relationship, there are commitments we need to make to each other. So for instance, on the slide, you may notice 2 commitments are highlighted. From NCTR side, we'll commit to sharing promising practices that we learned over time, while you would commit to participating in the institutes and consulting calls as needed. These commitments will be formalized with an MOU that we'll send you in the next few weeks. So again, I'd like to open the lines, and I'm going to unmute everyone in a minute to let you share what aspects of the NCTR client relationship excite you, as well as any questions you may have or anything else you think I might need to know. Okay, you should be unmuted by me. So if you want to try to unmute yourself, you should be able to speak. Oh, it seems like we still have the feedback. Well, it seems like we still have feedback. So if you have a comment, if you go ahead and just type it in the chat box, I can address it now. And while I'm waiting to see if anyone's going to share anything or has any more questions, Kathy and Lisa Bennett did share that they learned the importance of a dedicated clinical site in developing and sustaining a residency. I'm glad you brought that up. When we are in Institute 1 Part B, we're actually going to talk about looking at the training sites as well as also our resident selection criteria. So we're actually going to put all of that together, and we have some tools to provide you that I think will help support you in that endeavor. All right, so we'll continue because it doesn't seem like anyone has any questions. Oh, okay, so Noelle says, one of the challenges for us is being able to have the same people from our partner districts attend all the institutes. And it is difficult. So I would say if they can't, if you could either have a meeting afterwards to share the different information, then that sometimes is just as beneficial. But you'll definitely want to have a couple of people who are the point people that are going to share during any ongoing meetings when we're not there. But it's not unusual to have some challenges with the scheduling. All right, so I'm going to continue, and if anyone else has any challenge, please feel free to type it in the chat and I'll make sure to respond to it. So we're going to talk about beginning the work, and many of these items were addressed in your actual proposals, but I wanted to give you a chance to alter any or all of them. I know a lot of you were doing work over the summer, so some of your initial statements may have changed. So let's start with the mission. We know that an effective mission statement inspires and communicates how the program is going to solve a challenge. And although the challenges were outlined in your proposal, I wanted to provide a template for those of you who wish to revise your statement. Um, Time during Institute 1 will be allotted to discuss your mission and vision statements as well. And I will tell you, I can give you these templates at the end of this webinar call. After you draft or revise your mission statement, you'll want to assess it to see, is it concise? Does it reflect your partnership? And does it actually describe how the teacher preparation program will solve key challenges to achieve the vision? And then just to review, and we know that a vision statement inspires, uplifts, communicates how the landscape will look if the mission is achieved. Again, while I know many of you already wrote your mission and vision statements, if you are revising them, you'll want to make sure that it's inspiring and that it answers the question, what would the community, district, and IHE be like if the teacher preparation program achieved its mission? On top of the mission and vision statements, I'm also going to ask for just a landscape analysis. So this means that partner districts will need to share their hiring data on the number of teachers in the district, the number hired each year, your teacher pool breakdown by racial identity, and your number of higher need schools. I do have a form that you can just fill out, so you can send it to the individuals at the district who will have all the data, and I will collect that before Institute 1. I'd also like for everyone to review your selected prioritized skills, either from your proposal or meetings that you had over the summer. And we're going to discuss your skills, knowledge, and dispositions that you selected during Institute 1. We actually have a good portion of the day allotted to really dive deeply in this area. And then lastly, and this is something that an upcoming due date is right around the corner, I would just need to know what your teaching observation framework is for your partnership. So just to review, some of the next steps before Institute 1 Part A is by October 1st, I'm asking for program leads to collect all of this information and send it to me. And it would just be your mission statement, your vision statement, the landscape analysis, the prioritized skills, knowledge, and dispositions that you've selected, as well as what is your teaching observation framework. And then what I'm going to do this afternoon is I'm going to send everyone a link to a Dropbox, and it will contain a copy of today's orientation webinar. It also has templates for the mission and vision statement in case you're in the middle of revising it. There is a handout in there that you can fill in your prioritized skills, knowledge, and dispositions. I also have an additional handout that you can fill out your landscape analysis. And then lastly, I wanted to post the clinically oriented teacher preparation paper that NCTR researched and published. And so now what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to see if I can open the lines one last time. If not, I'll ask you to just type in the chat box if you have any questions. So let me see if we can open it. Okay, perfect. So feel free to unmute yourself. If I didn't answer one of your questions, now is the perfect time to ask. Okay, so I see that there's a question asking me to clarify if we select additional prioritized skills when we are to develop all the TPEs in our program. So if you've aligned them, what we'll just do is there's a series of activities just to make sure that we're always going back to those prioritized skills. So it's fine if the TPEs are your prioritized skills. It's just going to make sure that the mission is supporting this, the vision, and everything is succinct together. It can be similar, again, it can be similar to the TPEs. That's fine, and we've reviewed them. So that's not a problem. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other ones. Kathy and Lisa said that it's difficult to turn in deliverables that are due at the beginning or end of the semester. What I am asking for everyone to do, so we do have some information that I need sent by October 1st, and that's just to prepare for Institute 1. And I know that you have a report for the foundation, so your first set of deliverables really wouldn't be due until the middle of November. And the date is pretty flexible. What I'm basically doing is helping you. So I would review some of the information, ask you to clarify it, and a lot of it you can then upload it directly into a report for the foundation. So I actually think that this would be helpful. So most of the deliverable dates are trying to coincide with when you have date information due for the foundation. And this is to help make your lives easier. Are there any other questions? Okay, it doesn't seem like there are. If you think of any questions, I'd say later today or maybe in the next couple of days, feel free to send me an email. Again, I'll go back. And so you can see my email address. And in the meantime, if you have any additional questions about what I'm asking for before Institute 1, feel free to contact me. I will send out a reminder in September. And the reason why I'm asking for some of this information is because we have activities that will build upon your mission and vision statements. And we also have another activity to connect the landscape analysis so we can see what are the district needs in your localized area and make sure we're really addressing all of it as part of the partnership. All right, and with that, if no one else has any questions, it seems like we're going to be able to end this webinar extremely quickly. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending the webinar, and feel free to contact me if you have any other questions. And I'm going to